checked the other night. I'm like, I don't know how we can, like, trick over that.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Historic Presentation Night. I know it's been a while since our last one, so I appreciate you all coming back. My name is Molly. I am the Membership and Guest Services Coordinator here at the museum, and I am in charge of facilitating these events. Someone has agreed to do part of my job tonight, so I don't have much more to say besides if you need to exit at any point, you can head through the back and then just hold your questions till the end. But I will give it away to our docent and B25 coordinator, Carl Schmidt.
Thank you. I asked Molly if I could do the honors of introducing our speaker tonight. Many of you probably already knew him long before he went and created this project for our B17, as he spent thousands of hours out on that museum floor as a docent, teaching, training, talking to countless groups of visitors, veterans, lots of school children, and also many vets that have come through here, giving a few floor talks here and there as well. Other projects that he's done for the museum as well. His fellow docents do not have a problem at all saying that Kurt's memory, recall for airplanes, situations, things like that, is nearly encyclopedic. We never fail to marvel at what he was doing out there, the stories he was telling, the things he was sharing with guests. The airshow community also knows him and is very familiar with him from his many decades of going to air shows locally, nationally, internationally. If you go to any of the Thunders, have been to them, you're going to see him and other shows, like I said, across the country and even in Canada. On a personal note, I feel privileged to tell you that I own several of his pieces of his photographic items that he has created over the years, and it's part of my collection. It's, all of them are honored and on a wall somewhere, including the book that we're going to be talking about tonight. So without any more ado, the author of...
One more thing. I was supposed to get a shot before Molly walked down here. I talked to her about this. I'm in the process of de-assessing. Is anybody else going through that process, the basement, etc.? And I've got hundreds and hundreds of books I've read, and we've done this before. They're out there on a table, and you can help yourself to them at no charge. If you feel like making a donation, there's a bucket there that you can put your $100 bills in. And if you don't pick them up, they're going in the dumpster.
Okay. Okay. The author of Remembering an Icon, Mr. Kurt Affholter.
Thanks, Carl. I'd like to thank Molly, the organization, for giving me a chance to make this presentation. Like you said, I was spent 7 years as a docent here, wonderful 7 years. The reason for my not being here, we don't talk about that today, but that's okay. It's water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. But something about the presentation today, something I had to do, we'll tell you about the book. Second part of the presentation will be about the book and why I made the book. Okay, introduction. Was 40 years as an industrial electrician for General Motors. Retired for 10 years this July. I spent 7 years as docent at the museum, like Carl said. I've always had an interest in World War II history and the aircraft that participated. Probably built a model of every type of aircraft growing up. In addition, my mother would take us to the library bi-monthly and get books on the subject, so I was very well read as a youngster. I took an interest in photography during 8th grade class, junior high school here in Westland. We had a brand new black and white darkroom, so we got to learn how to do photography and then processing from black and white, so I took a big interest in that. That got me started in photography. My main subject became airplanes, automobiles, and animals, not necessarily in that order. A lot of things came together. If I go to an air show, we make sure we do some wildlife and associated with that, so it kind of worked hand in hand. I had the opportunity to attend every air show at Willow Run, so I've got a lot of history there, especially when the show was once considered one of the best warbird shows in the nation. Not so much anymore, but things changed. My aviation photography was shaped by all the friends I made at this air show over the last 26 years. They shared techniques, tips, and other air shows division as well as equipment. Many of these guys have become lifelong friends. Some of you have already seen some of my pictures and probably didn't know it. I've had several images in the Thunder Over Michigan calendar. In addition, the 25th anniversary air show in 2023, my picture of a Mustang was the basis for that air show poster. There's no name on it, but that's my Mustang shot. In 2019, they said there's only one way to go for an aviation photographer, and that's up. I pestered good friend Alistair Robertson, a Scotsman that I met at the show, to help me get on board with the air-to-air crew. He had done a lot of photography with a group called Air-to-Air Adventures, run by Scott Slocum. Scott's a professional air-to-air photographer. In fact, semi-retired now, but he does all the air-to-air stuff for the EAA. And that's what he did for a living, so he set these missions up, give opportunities for laymen like myself to go do some air-to-air photography, very special aircraft, particularly World War II vintage aircraft. In a whirlwind adventure, I was able to photograph 15 different World War II types from May 2019 to May 2022. Quick discussion on equipment. This is my setup that I use for air-to-air, my Canon EOS 1DX Mark II, 20 frames per second. It's 10 years old. It's got a mirror, not like the new mirrorless cameras, but 20 frames per second works pretty fine for action photography. And it's not so much a problem with air-to-air because you're not worrying about the speed of the airplane because he's right next to you. But in an air show, when you're doing the pass, you want more frames per second. That's why I have that camera. My 70-200 millimeters image stabilized, that helps a lot when you're in air-to-air for vibration. My 24-70 wide angle is not stabilized. So I've used those two lenses in combination in the air with some decent results. The physics of photography really hasn't changed since the first glass plate was exposed. So it's the same thing nowadays. All the new cameras, the camera will make you a better photographer. You need some manual intervention to cover all the different bases in photography. So, like I said, camera speed's not so important, but vibration was a major concern. So something I want to tell everybody, I shoot what we call aperture priority. Shutter priority. So I only adjust the shutter, and it works great for air-to-air, it works great for aviation. The reason I do that is I don't want to stop propellers. The worst picture for me is a plane with the propeller stopped square. You can read the nameplates on the props. Some people think that's, oh, look, I stopped the prop. No, you cannot do that. So it's all shutter speed dependent. If you're hand holding my 500 millimeter lens, this was my favorite lens on the ground, 320th of a second gives you a blurred prop, and that's good enough. It's still a sharp airplane. But like I said, you still have to use some manual intervention, so no camera is totally automatic. Okay, two pictures of the photo ships that we used in the air-to-air. The first picture is a Beechcraft Bonanza, and we used that for the first couple of missions. In fact, that's a very cool picture. I'm in that aircraft. I'm farthest away from the open door, sitting next to my friend Alistair, who got me on board my first air-to-air mission. Later, we upgraded to that Beechcraft Baron twin engine, a little faster, same size opening. That's all that mattered to me, to get the camera out and get your body out there looking out into the plane. Okay, my first air-to-air adventure was in Virginia Beach Military Aviation Museum. Oops, sorry. So I went down there in May 2019, and you get lined up, and so you see what the missions are at the start of the year, and you sign up. Well, we're supposed to go down there and see their Mosquito, their de Havilland Mosquito, and their Messerschmitt ME-109, BF-109. Well, we get there and find out, well, the Mosquito's grounded. We're not going to do that. But we're going to do the 109. So that wasn't too bad. So we get out there, and I want to tell everybody, so after growing up and reading about watching 12 O'Clock High and all the movies on TV growing up and hearing about the Messerschmitt BF-109 and the scourge to the Allies, and now there's one outside the door of the airplane I'm sitting in. Now, they showed to the airplane, the photo ship, so now I'm down on the floor, sitting between the guy closest to the door's legs. There's about a 3-inch lip, and that's all. But you're strapped in with a harness into the airplane. And I got over the edge of the door and I said, what did I sign up for? But when this airplane came into view, I said, this is what I signed up for. I realized after 30 seconds that I wasn't breathing. Time to breathe, you gotta take a deep breath. This is crazy. It was so much adrenaline flowing to see this site right here. And they've got great backgrounds. So this wouldn't look good flying over a Walmart parking lot, let's face it. So the space down there, the wetlands, and then you have the beach and some wetlands between the beach and the airship and the airport. So this is a great backdrop. So beautiful aircraft. This was on the Russian front, this aircraft, shot down in 1944, recovered from a lake, and rebuilt in Germany. Sent to Germany for rebuild. They consulted Luftwaffe pilots during the rebuild to make sure this was an accurate rebuild. So this is pretty much close to what a real BF-109 would have looked like and flown. So an actual Daimler-Benz 605 engine on that, inverted V12. This aircraft was finished to honor Klaus Cadet, Klaus Sam, JG3, a Battle of Britain participant. In fact, the JG3, German Luftwaffe, participated in all the front civil wars, in particular color scheme. So we're moving the aircraft around by directing it in, out. It's a matter of code. 10 is more than 20, 20 out, 20 in, airplane's moving up and down. We move the planet around, get different views while we're doing the circular orbits. We finish up what we call the power shot. And so if you look in the right corner, upper right corner, that is the horizontal stabilizer of the photo ship. So he's right outside the door. And I like to point out there at the very nose of that spinner, the lethal 20mm cannon that was so effective against the B-17s, looking you right in the face. One good thing about going to these museums when there's no show involved is you're the only show in town. So it's all revolved around you taking the pictures. Nobody else is even there. So we're there first thing in the morning, and we're getting this takeoff on their beautiful grass strip. Just about 8 photographers, a couple ground crew guys, and our pilots. That's what somebody looks like after their first air-to-air mission. I can tell you how I felt, but it's pretty crazy. It was actual adrenaline flowing to the 10th degree. I thought, this is what I signed up for. And I knew I got some good pictures. I knew what it looked like in the viewfinder. And I said, well, this is great. I like this. I like this a lot. Later that day, in lieu of the Mosquito, we got the museum's Hurricane. Not too shabby. Flying over the beach there, that Virginia Beach looks pretty close to maybe the coast of England, maybe in World War II. Close your eyes and pretend that could be the coast. This was a Canadian-built Hawker Hurricane Mark 12. It was used as a coastal patrol aircraft during World War II. And surprisingly, other than the wood spars on the back of the fuselage and the canvas, the aircraft is original, including the Packard Merlin on board. So we talk about air-to-air photography, and everybody's seen some air-to-air stuff. And it's about what we call the prop arc, that nice circle around the prop, nice continuous circle with no segments in it. This is what you're going for. It ends up being a very addictive shot. Try to do that from the ground. It's not that easy. I caught up on that for a couple of years at air shows trying to get that. You can't do it. That is 1/50th of a second. So it's a pretty slow shutter speed. The conditions were right. These are a good day. It wasn't very much air turbulence. And so you got a nice circular arc. Once again, that beautiful background there in Virginia Beach area. Hurricane again. The third aircraft, so how does it work? So you go there and get 2 aircraft scheduled, and then there's the add-on. Well, when you're there and you're offered another airplane, what are you going to do? Say no? Of course not. So it costs extra money, of course. So they're offering to have us see the Spanish-built Casa built Junkers JU-52, configured as a paratroop ship that participated over missions in Crete. Now the museum has a group of reenactors dressed up in German paratroop uniforms, dressed up to the nines, 20 guys on board, and they actually do parachute jumps out of this airplane with German stuff on. It's pretty cool. Got to see that a little bit. Okay, went back to Virginia Beach 2 years later. October 2020, sorry, 1 year later, once again to shoot their Mosquito and their German MU-262 jet. All right, great. It's a replica, but it's still really cool. We get there, well, we're not going to get the jet. We are getting the Mosquito this time, and we're getting this, they just got this picked up that year in 2020, this Bell P-39F Air Cobra. So this was a forced landing in Australia, recovered in 1972. Only one of the three of the type surviving. This is an F model, P-39F. The scheme pictured here represents a plane that became a Lend-Lease aircraft. You guys know we gave those planes to the Russians. They love this aircraft. Big, heavy aircraft, cannon through the middle of the nose there, spinner. Heavy and slow, but a great tank buster. The Russians used that advantage to them. So once again, we're up in the morning, first thing in the morning, flying over the same wetlands. You wonder how a plane like that can't be fast. It just looks sleek. Nice top shot. Once again, the wetlands work out real well. Once again, this would not work out for a Walmart parking lot in the background. So the backgrounds really are anything. We finally get there to have one Mosquito. DH-98 Mosquito Fighter Bomber 26. Canadian built and used as a training unit. Sat outside till 1978. Purchased by the military aviation in 2004. Sent over to a place in New Zealand called ABSPEX. A lot of us know who ABSPEX now. That's where the B17 Yankee Lady fuselage sits currently for a complete rebuild of the fuselage to World War II specifications. So this was the first Mosquito that ABSPEX did. And they got it there, they picked it up in 2013 at the museum. First U.S. flight was April 2013, only flying sample on the Mosquito until 2021. Now currently there are 4 in the world flying, 4 total. But as it comes up outside the window again, you see this Mosquito coming up. It's a nice morning, and nice morning light. Once again, the light, the nice morning light, afternoon light. You don't want to go up in the middle of the afternoon, which we did a couple times. That's coming later. But the beach works out real well. The Mosquito, once again, nice prop arcs. Uh-oh. Oh, back, okay. Once again, the wetlands work real well for that aircraft. Okay, out outside the window, I'm using my 70 to 200 millimeter lens all the way back to 70, and I'm praying, oh, please don't clip it, part of that wing off. That's full frame edge to edge. You're happy to get that one. And almost a full prop arc. You see the little segments, that's probably about 1/100th of a second. That gives you, and the props turn different speeds, depending on the engines also. You didn't see any prop arcs on the German plane, did you? Because they don't put yellow tips on their propellers. They use a spinner that has usually a marking on it. I'll show you that later when we get to another German plane. Somebody wanted to, photographers wanted to set this particular shot up. Now, this is coming down their grass strip there at Virginia Beach. Beautiful location. The museum is just to the right right to the right behind the aircraft. Those hangars there, the hangar on the very left-hand side, closer to the edge, that is from Germany. He bought that hangar and brought it there to his location in Germany. The cool part about this picture is that little building in the foreground. That is a control tower from RAF Goxhill. RAF Goxhill was the first RAF base handed over to the 8th Air Force in World War II. Jerry Yeagan, the owner, bought that, had it shipped brick by brick back to his place in Virginia Beach and had it rebuilt. That's a pretty cool thing. The British government got a hold of that, got word of that as a matter of fact, and said, that's not happening again. No way. Jerry Yeagan, the owner, told us about, as he gave us a quick tour, a couple things about that. It was put together with cement, not mortar, so it made it really hard to take the bricks apart. In addition, a cool little anecdote about the place. So it's about an hour and a half, 2-hour ride from London by airplane, and Eisenhower came to visit base. Well, we were told that there was no way he was going to be able to hold his urination to 2 hours, so we were pointed out to the trough in the bathroom that was guaranteed to us that Eisenhower urinated in there. So that was a pretty historic thing to see that. I got a chance to go to a little-known museum out in west central Minnesota, Fagan Fighters. Family-owned museum. They've got a great little spot out there in the middle of the farmlands. That's America there, nothing but farmland. They own the whole thing. They have a great museum, a great collection, and they're really into the history. You guys know about being into the history. These owners, like Military Aviation Museum, there's so much into the history that makes it so much better for all of us. So, Airwood Aircraft, they're a large restoration facility on site. They do their own restorations there. Went there twice. Once again, we're the only show in town. We're taking off in the morning. First thing in the morning, the sun's coming up, and we're in the middle of farmlands. Beautiful site, P-40 Warhawk. It was a Lend-Lease aircraft given to Russia. It crash landed in 1944 outside Murmansk. 10-year restoration at the Fagan fighters. And it was completed up to be a Aleutian Tiger. 85% of that airframe is original, by the way. So it's got a cool history there. But flying over the countryside now in west central Minnesota. That's the Yellow Medicine River right there. Beautiful farmland. Once again, the backdrops to me make the air-to-air pictures. You don't need blue sky, you need some cool backdrops in farmland. As we're taking that picture, I'm looking through the viewfinder and the pilot, Scott, says, hey, that ground fog looks pretty cool. As I'm looking through my viewfinder saying, yeah, it does. It turned out to be a really nice picture, just something with some cool effect. And you know, it's backlit, which isn't necessarily the best kind of picture. It works in this one with that ground fog. We set this breakaway shot up, and so everybody get your shutter speeds up, 3, 2, 1, break, and the plane does a nice breakaway. We set that one up before. So we had gone out there to shoot their F6F Hellcat and their P-40. But the add-on plane was this P-38 Lightning. Are you going to say no to that? No, I wasn't going to say no to that either. So now it's a huge airplane coming outside the window, and this never saw combat. Became an air racer post-World War II. And it purchased in 2004 and finished as a tribute to Robin Olds. Double ace, World War II ace, Vietnam ace. Scat was his plane, Scat 3. This is right outside the door. When that came up, plane came outside the door, we realized how big that P-38 really is. And like I said, he put that thing right outside the door for us. Once again, 2 big props spinning away, beautiful farmland backdrop. We went out to do the F6F Hellcat. This was bought by them in 2021. And they finished it as a tribute to Don McPherson. Don McPherson was the last surviving Navy ace. His aircraft is called Death and Destruction. Don just died last year, early last year. Of course, Pratt & Whitney R2800 Double Wasp. In your face. That's a big engine right outside the door again. This is Evan Fagan, the son, flying both the plane, the P-38, and this one he puts the planes right in the doorway. Can't ask for more. Went back out there in June 22 to Fagan fighters to do the brand new Zero. And we get up there and we get the Zero and the Hellcat. Great, because they were adversaries in World War II. This Zero served in the Japanese Imperial Navy Air Group 3, sat abandoned in New Guinea, recovered in 1991, and spent 3 years being restored in Russia. I thought that was kind of strange. What do you mean Russia? But they restored it. Fagan's got it. It appeared in the 2001 movie, you want to call it, the Pearl Harbor movie. Not so great, as you guys well know. So we got 2 ship. This is great. One bad thing, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not the best time for light, usually morning or afternoon. But we weren't happy about it going up. I guess the situation presented itself. We got up there. There was a little air show going on, so we weren't the only show in town, and things always happen on the side when you're not the only show in town. But we got these 2 guys going up. Guy I'm shooting in the plane with decides, hey, we're going to have lots of reflection. The sun's looking great down on us, too, so we're not going to have good light. We put polarizing filters on. Knock some of the color down, and it's also windy. It's afternoon. It's not going to be a calm sky, so now we're fighting some of the wind and some turbulence. It wasn't my best session, let's put it that way. And the props, the shutter speeds are up, as you can see. They're stopping some props. This one works here pretty good. The guy I'm shooting with said to the pilot, does the Zero have a smoke system? Because it would look pretty cool if he was smoking with that Hellcat right behind him in an adversarial position. So that's a great shot. Right there again, same thing, side by side. These guys know how to fly the airplanes for you. 3, 2, 1 break. That's the break shot, Hellcat pulling away. So, later that day, now remember, we went out to do this Hellcat. Hey, do you guys want to do some Mustangs? My favorite plane. Of course, you're not going to say no again, the add-on, they got you when you're there. So, 2 Mustangs are coming up, some beautiful aircraft. The Fagan Museum has some beautiful, beautiful aircraft, well taken care of. So, no combat history with Sweet Revenge here. It was an air racer, became number 28 Platinum Plus during its history. Acquired in 1996 by the museum. This aircraft, Twilight Tier, very special P-51. They got the aircraft in 2001, and they found out it had a great history. Combat veteran aircraft. Served with the 78th Fighter Group, piloted by Lieutenant Bill Davis, scored 3 victories. 2 BF-109s and ME-262 jet. Also took part in a raid on Hitler's Eagle's Nest. You guys know that raid. So a pretty famous aircraft. They went to the 10th degree. They restored us to original World War II specifications, including operational 50 caliber machine guns on a waiver from the ATF. I thought that was pretty cool. They did a video, they did live fire at one time, but there were active 50 caliber machine guns in that aircraft. So we got some nice 2-ship with those things. Flying formation over the wonderful countryside once again. It's getting a little later afternoon, so we weren't biting the bullet so much that overhead sky and sun in the afternoon. So did a nice presentation for us with 2 Mustangs. 3, 2, 1 break. Nice break shot here. Those 2 guys together. Okay, I'll talk about some of the pratfalls to do in the air-to-air. When I said we were not the only show in town, we come to do some air-to-air photography as a part of the Thunder Over Michigan Air Show. It didn't work out too well either time. First one was going to be the B-25s. So I signed up to some B-25s. You guys know there were what, 11, 13 here, 11, 12, 13, I forgot the number. And so we all gathered up in the ad flight office over there on Friday. We're here Friday for the arrivals anyway in the photography bit. And we're doing our briefing. All the pilots are going to take 8 aircraft up. For an hour into the briefing, and somebody says, hey, did you look at your phones? Huge band of thunderstorms coming across. Well, we're not flying today. Luckily, we pulled the plug at the right minute, so it was canceled till Saturday. So the long air show being here at 5:45 in the morning, and now we're going to fly sometime after 6:30. I'm going to be here Saturday night, do the night photography, a part of the air show until midnight. Okay, a long day. Get up. I'm with another fellow. I did not recognize him. And we're out orbiting over Lake Erie. So we're south of the Fermi plant, orbiting over Lake Erie there. And we get 3 B-25s. All B-25s in commemorative Air Force. I found out later the guy I was flying with was with those guys. Hence those 3 B-25s. I wanted to picture the Lord's reply, or maybe that Marine PBJ that was here. No, I got these 3. That's all I got. It wasn't the most exciting thing for me. So that was how that worked out. So we came back. You guys remember the July 2022 Thunder Over Michigan, the British invasion. That was not a British invasion. Due to weather and other mechanical issues, I think 7 to 8 aircraft did not make our show. So in a bit of panic, they started calling people around the area, can we get some other warbirds in here? And I had some friends down there at Tri-State Warbird Museum near Cincinnati, and they brought up their Focke-Wulf FW-190 F8 replica, along with a P-40 they brought up from the museum to try to fill some of the slots. So now we signed up to do some British airplanes, and we're not getting British airplanes. So we go up with this guy, cool, there's a spinner, no tips on the props. Luftwaffe painted those spinners. When you see that spin spinning, you know the props are moving, hopefully. Beautiful aircraft, all looks the part. This was part of a 21 aircraft group build over in Germany. So it's got a Pratt & Whitney R2800 in the nose. It's not original. And my British and German friends point out that that scoop on top is not kosher. Let's put it that way. But it looks the part nonetheless. So that's an interesting shot coming over, looking east. We were joined by this cool Hawker Hurricane Mark 12, another Canadian coastal aircraft, purchased by the Dakota Territories Air Museum. It's finished to honor Flight Pilot Officer L.C. Wade, RAF, who was an American. Wade was the highest scoring ace in the Mediterranean in World War II, 25 victories with that Hawker Hurricane. And a nice two-ship with those two guys. Back to Peachtree, Georgia. Went down to shoot another one that turned out 3 Navy bombers. Dauntless, Avenger, and Helldiver. Well, you see the Dauntless? It's not really a Dauntless. It's a United States Army Air Corps A-24 Banshee. That's what it came off the assembly line as, but they painted up as a Dauntless, so we'll call it Dauntless. Same aircraft, same specifications, but it was built for the Army Air Corps. And behind there, you can see a little bit of the Helldiver coming in behind there. So I see clouds. So we're the last ship up in the afternoon, so we're going to get some rain, some clouds. We'll get some good light on these aircraft. They're a nice two-ship together. Where's the Avenger? Mechanical. 2 Navy bombers, not 3. I don't know if we paid for 3. There's always this one price. There's never a discount when you don't get what you're supposed to get. I'll put it that way. There's no money coming back. The Helldiver, so nice clouds. It's raining around some areas there. We got some cool weather. The Dauntless goes mechanical after 10 minutes. Switches fuel tanks, started gurgling. I got to recover. He pulls out, so we get the Dauntless for 10 minutes. We got the Helldiver for longer as a result. Lake Lanier, it's northeast of Atlanta. Nice backdrop. We have to have a Navy plane over some type of water. Other places doesn't look right. And there's the prop arc. Light coming right up front. Beautiful circular prop arc on that nice painted airplane. Okay, I saved the most unique aircraft I've ever taken a picture of for last. Not chronologically, but down in Douglas, Georgia. The only flying XP-82, some call it twin Mustang. There's only 3 parts in common with the P-51 Mustang. 3 parts. A trim wheel, a radio bracket, and something with the tail wheel. So it's a completely different aircraft, and that's a large airplane. They had just restored this airplane in January 2019, and we're here in August 2019. No, it was June 2019, because it went to Oshkosh in 2019 and won the Grand Champion Warbird that year, and didn't fly much after that. It's for sale if you want $14 million. You've got some extra money. It's been sitting there for sale since they refurbished it. Tom Riley, big-time rebuilder down there in Georgia, he did this. In fact, he's working on some other rebuilds currently. It's a B17s we'll talk about in a bit. Like I said, awarded Grand Champion. Very unique aircraft. Was designed to escort B-29s on long, over 8-hour missions over Japan, but the war ended quickly enough and didn't have to use it. It did see combat in Korea as a night fighter. So this is prototype number 2. There are only 2 prototypes. This is prototype number 2, so it's obviously the only one. There were first 20 production models, and the first 2 prototypes had Merlins. All the P-82 versions, the fighter versions, had Allisons when they went to combat. So we're the only show there. Once again, we're at this little airport in Georgia. There's a break shot. It's a big airplane. I'm telling you, it's monstrous. We got a little night shot here. I put up some setting sun. So, hey, let's do some night shot. Great, we're in for that. They backed up a Ford F-150 with foggy headlights. And that's the lighting for this shot. But he's got the plane strapped down with some straps, some holding straps in the runway, and he's working the throttle pretty good. You can see by the blue flames coming out each side of the exhaust. This thing's roaring away for about 3 or 4 minutes. All of a sudden, one of the straps lets loose. And you can see where I'm at. I'm almost out in front of the plane. It's like, oops! He got on the brakes pretty quick. The brakes were on anyway. Didn't move maybe a couple inches and got it shut down, but the effect was there. The other guys were all over to my right, and I realized that maybe that was the spot to be. Okay, kind of changing why we're here today is about the book. And That's why everybody came. Our famous B17 Yankee lady is no longer with us. So why did I make the book? Personal closure. I needed some closure on the subject. Like everybody else, when we got the shock of our lives, most of us, in the spring of 2024, just selling the flagship. The Yankee lady, something that's been in the air around here for so long, you took for granted. Try not to take it for granted because you never know if something would happen to it. But took it for granted because you saw it all the time and it was here forever. And I thought, well, after I had time to digest it and I felt a little bit better about the thing, it's October, a year after it left, in October 2024, I decided I have enough interesting images of this airplane that people probably haven't seen or been aware of. Maybe you'd like to put it together to a book. My first book ever, so I've assembled these things from pictures over many, many years of seeing this airplane. And I came down to the museum with the book in hand. How was it going to be accepted? Remember now, it was a touchy subject. A lot of people were mad over it for a period of time. The dust is settled. I thought it was a good time to bring the book down. And fortunately for me, it was accepted enthusiastically. All right, let's do something with this. So we're talking about, what is an icon? An icon is a person or thing widely accepted and admired, especially for having a great influence or significance in a particular sphere. Widely admired, yep. Great influence or significance, yeah. Meets all the definitions as far as I'm concerned for an icon. Here's a quick story I found out. I wasn't going to put too much history in the book. I want to be more about the images, but I thought this was a good story to tell. The naming of the B-17 Yankee lady. Maybe a lot of people, maybe some of you old-timers may know the story. Probably most don't. Membership was polled at the 1987 Memorial Day fly-in. The B-17-909, no longer with us, if you know it was olive drab with gray undersides, was a visitor. It was a sample. They wanted to have the membership vote. Did you want the aircraft to be bare metal or did you want it to be olive drab with gray undersides? Well, the membership voted 273 to 227 for olive drab. No, that didn't mean anything later on. Also, the membership voted 3-1 for the name Old Gappy. Old Gappy was an actual B-17 that flew 157 missions and was manufactured by Lockheed, the same manufacturer as the Yankee lady. But the board of directors decided the name should include Yankee and narrowed it down to 6 choices. Old Gappy wasn't one of them. Yankee Gal, Yankee Power, Yankee Pride, Yankee Spirit, Yankee Lady, and Proud Yankee. So from those names, they decided, and there was one name, Yankee Lady, so hence the name. Thunder River, Michigan, 2010. The final time 8 B-17s flew together. Only one aircraft in this picture is currently flying. The second aircraft from the front, Sentimental Journey. You guys know the 909, Liberty Bell, and Texas Raiders of that group are all demolished. Au contraire, Yankee League is almost rebuilt. Liberty Bell is almost rebuilt, believe it or not, down in Douglas, Georgia. It's very close to being done with a box of parts from the original Liberty Bell. 2 other aircraft here are down there in Madras, Oregon, along with their B-17 Yankee Lady wings, getting the wing spar job. That's what precipitated a lot of the grounding of the airplane when they found out there was issues with the wing spar. So those are waiting. Thunderbird, Movie Memphis Bell are down there waiting for wing spars with plans to fly them again. The aluminum overcast from EAA is sitting at the museum. Word is that it's wing spar issue because they were the first ones to have the problem and brought to the light of the FAA. And they may not spend the money to put that back up in the air. There are other B-17 restorations going on currently around the country. There are currently 3 B-17s flying: Sentimental Journey, Ye Old Pub in Madras, Oregon, and Sally B over there in Europe. During my time at the museum, I always had some good ideas. At least I thought they were good ideas to make money. Some were accepted, some weren't. So it's August 2020. What's going on? COVID's going on. We're not selling rides. Had an idea. Planned a seat with Dave Callanan and said, hey, let's have a photo session with our planes, and people can bring their cars in. What a nice setting. Of course, I told you my airplanes and automobiles, it's a fit for me. So I talked them into it. We created what they call the photo bomber. So we had good participation. We had a morning, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon visit. Signed up $75, about 2.5, 3 minutes from each airplane. We had the B17, the B25 Yankee Warrior configuration, and the Ford Tri-Motor. So hard to go wrong with the classic Jaguar Series 1 XKE in front of the B17. The B17 makes any car look good as far as I'm concerned. Shameless Motion Day, that's what this is all about. That's my 2000 Corvette, now 26 years old. Some guy brought his Porsche with his custom fly B17 license plate. Dave Callahan, he's in the crowd. Nice 57 Thunderbird. These guys brought their 3 police Mustang Fox Body Interceptors, state police interceptors, a little group. I thought was pretty cool. The next year, the following year, August 2021, this individual contacted the museum. He wanted to rent the B17 for photographs with his classic 1980 Olds W30 Hearst edition. So he hired the airplane. Dave Callahan asked me, would you do the photography? Of course. Airplanes and autos, there we go again. I'm in my wheelhouse. I got to put the plane where I wanted it for pictures, staged the whole thing. He brought his car out. He brought this car in a trailer from north of Richmond, Michigan. So it was a very special plane. The car was spotless. So I did a nice photo session with him, got him some very nice pictures of his car. I did that for gratis and got him the pictures at my cost. So that's what can be done. And we made some money. The plane was sitting anyway. We made $700, and I think he was a $100 tip, so that worked out great for everybody. I brought the book down into chapters per se. So the first chapter was the Thunder over Michigan 2010. The second one would have been the lady with cars, and then the lady with reenactors. Once again, during 2020, August 2020, nothing's going on. We're not selling rides. Photographer contracted the museum, Pete Lero, professional photographer. Hey, I got a package I want to set up. Can we do some, I'll bring some reenactors. Can we use your static planes for that? Can we do some night shoots of your planes? And we want to do some air-to-air. So the whole package. Nothing's going on at the museum. Good time to get on board. So he brought his own reenactors. Nice afternoon. Wasn't too hot there in August. These guys are dressed to the nines, all the equipment. So it looks just like, to me, like the real thing. That's a period correct WC-30 Dodge medium duty truck. You've seen the pictures before. There they are, all before the mission. These guys played the role well. Aerial gunner with tools of the trade. Some of the pictures on the presentation are not in the book, and more pictures are in the book, so I didn't want to bore everybody with pictures from the book, so this is a variation of a nice picture in the book. Tough mission. I said, get that man a cigarette. Guess what? They had fake cigarettes. He's got a cigarette in his mouth, so that makes it period correct. Okay, the next chapter was called The Lady at Night. We got a chance in 2018 after Saturday of the air show to do our first night shoot. This is the first time the lady was ever photographed at night under lights. We were down there in a hotel taxiway, which butts up against the garbage hill over there. And we ran a couple lights on towers with a generator, so it was very just shoot from the hip kind of scenario, and it worked out okay. So we bring the fire truck out. We want to create a puddle for some reflection shots. First of all, he still had some foam in the water, so all that foam boogered up the grass there. Got this white foam on there. There was a P-47 earlier that messed that up. We didn't do the water in the B-17 here. Why? Because it was raining by now. Plus, that taxiway is crowned. There was no puddling of water because it's crowned this way for the drainage. So that didn't work out too well, shooting over there with a puddle effect. But this was the first time that we did Yankee Lady at Night. Those are 2 to 3 second exposures with a tripod. As part of that special photo thing in 2020, we had the night shoot portion. This is 2 years later. Now we're outside of Hangar 1. looking east with some professional lighting. So we've got the 4 or 5 nice professional lights lighting up the airplane and a couple 2-3 second exposure. I call that the Yankee lady in all her glory. So there she is at night. Nice beautiful prop arc. A little bit of reflection. I call that the Yankee lady in the air. The lady in the air. I get a chance to get two rides personally. This is from the business end, showing the Norden bomb sight, the bullet rack on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, the control for that chin turret would clip onto that bracket above the guy's head. So the Yankee lady was one of the most originally equipped B-17s when it was flying. So this guy that bought it's going to keep it World War II, but it seems to me most of the stuff was already in place for him. That's out the left-hand window where the navigator sits. It's a couple of engines. Interesting shot. Not too many times have I seen pictures with both aircraft in the same frame. So this was part of the Thunder over Michigan. I think it was 2016. B-25 is taxiing out, and the B-17 is coming in for landing. I think selling a ride. Usually we end up selling rides at shows. We didn't get to see our own planes that much toward the end. You guys remember the members-only air show that we had. We were hired up for airplanes, August 2021. Did you want to give some money, help the organization? We'll fly our planes for you. Well, it's going to be in the evening. I'm in on that because I knew the sun was going to be pretty cool. So that's from the ground in the setting sun. That's hand holding my 500 millimeter lens at 1/125th of a second. Too many sharp pictures, but it only takes one picture. That's all it takes. You can experiment. I tell people pixels are free. It's not like film. You throw away the bad picture. If you don't like the picture in digital, bye-bye. No harm, no foul. Okay, now we're doing the air-to-air photography from the back of the C-47, Hairless Joe. They removed the 3 starboard windows. Now the windows aren't very big, right? You know, I think they're probably, 8, 10 inches by maybe 14. They're not very big, so your angle of view is only that window. Now there's 10 photographers shooting out the 3 open windows. Okay, so we were promised 2 minutes in front of each window. I'm shooting with a guy I knew pretty well, so we're next to each other, shoulder to shoulder. We got both of our cameras out. Where's the airplane? Waiting for it to come in the field of view. Your field of view is only this much. Where's the plane? Time to move. We never even saw the airplane during our 2 minutes at the window. Guy next to me yells, "Move!" Well, that didn't set me too well with that. Hey, we didn't even see the airplane. So we're fighting these guys for opportunities when the plane's not even in the view. So that was not very good. I got a couple nice shots out the window. I could have done better, but it was a tough go. I would never do that again, not out of the small windows. So looking east, you can see on the horizon there 2 stacks from Fermi. So that's looking out over Lake Erie. Nice backlit morning shot. You can see the corner of the frame there, part of the window sill. I left that in there to show you how small the field of view is. Finally came up next to the airplane. Okay, we can see it. Great, we're firing shots off. 1/80th of a second. Once again, kind of a nice look. Backlit, but shows off the airplane real well. And trees look kind of nice. A little close-up view. The pilots are wearing masks. That's what was happening in August 2020. Finally, the sun's up. No window there. Nice view out the window. That is through the window on the left-hand side. Once again, a rare one. Both aircraft in the bare metal configuration. So I don't know anybody has seen pictures of those 2 guys together. Show it to me. I haven't seen one. Okay, October 19th, 2024. Not a happy day around here for most. It wasn't a happy day for anybody. I had just had major surgery 5 days before. I got out of the hospital, it was Monday, I got out of the hospital on Wednesday, trying to find out when I was going to go. It was kind of kept kind of quiet a little bit. Some people knew, some people didn't. I found out just in time. My wife was happy enough to drive me down so I could document this last day, the farewell day, the sad day. There's the final crew. Had the pleasure, experience, and had to do the delivery, had to do the dirty deed. From left to right, Rich Koski, Bob Bomar, John Albright, Grant Schwartz, Chief Pilot Gene Wenenkamper. Nobody had a smile on their face that day. I felt the urge to give Gene Wedenkamper a nice big hug. I don't know if it made him feel any better. It didn't make me feel any better, but I thought it would help. The group shot. So I'm sure the doctor was pissed. He found out that I was climbing up some stairs 4 days after my surgery to get up in a scissors lift to get this shot. I didn't care. It was only going to be a one-time deal. So if you're in that picture, 89 people I think were posing in that picture that day. So you guys know if you're in there or not, that's for sure. The Triangle L, if anybody didn't know, signifies the 381st Bomb Group. An early supporter of the project made a significant donation to secure the 381st connection. The Y means nothing. The GD code in the fuselage indicates aircraft from the 534th Squadron. Starting up, that's the last start up, getting ready to taxi out. Here she goes. A lot of sniffles from the crowd. It was as bad as a funeral. Gene Wedenkamper's son, flying that extra 300, escorted him out of the Yankee lady out of the airspace. There is on YouTube a video that as the film was from that aircraft. I've only been able to watch it one time. It was a tearjerker. So you guys be ready for it. It's a real cool presentation. But like I said, I've only watched it one time. So as we leave the place, this is kind of a melancholy end of the story. We get out to the car, and we turn on the car, and what song is playing on the radio? "Funeral for a Friend" from Elton John. There's still a hole in my lip. I had to bite my lip pretty hard that day. So that's how it happened. We realized later on, when the dust settled, it was probably the best thing for the aircraft. It was a tough pill to swallow nonetheless. It was something that I know everybody here probably loved, had a special place in their heart. So one of the rewards I got from making this book, a book found its way to Karen Ellickson. You guys don't know Karen Ellickson. She's the wife of Norm Ellickson, probably the most important individual responsible for a lady being airworthy. Karen was along for all the early rides, early flyaways, taking care of business. The feedback that I received from her, the feedback that I received from her as she viewed the images, a lot of oohs and ahs. So this is the lady who was involved with that aircraft from day one here, and she saw views of it that she'd never seen before. So that's the reason. That's the whole reason I made that book, to share that part with everybody, some of my personal photographs. Okay, so I self-published this book. I wanted to keep the price down. A lot of people here have helped me with the structure and made it palatable. I wasn't able to sell through the museum. There wasn't enough meat on the bone to have them make their profit and sell there. So I was doing individual sales, and that's how that worked. I kind of just let the book out here in the museum, sign up sheet for local people here at the hangar, and in the museum, that's how we started doing it. So since this presentation, maybe there's some more books we'll sell. It's not a big money maker for me. It's more about the feel-good part of it, and be able to produce those pictures and provide that images for somebody to hopefully remember the aircraft. And that's why we're here today. So that's it for me. That's all I have. Any questions? Okay.
Was there ever any discussion about when the plane is fixed and restored in New Zealand, that it would ever come back? Is that...
Yeah, it's coming back eventually. I think I heard he was building a hangar in Texas for the airplane. Don't be surprised if they painted an olive drab at the gray underside. I heard he was leaning towards something from the Memphis Bell Squadron. That's the rumor had it. Will they fly to air shows? I don't even know if that guy's a pilot. He has a good collection. Yes, is he a pilot?
They plan to fly the airplane. They will not give rides. They'll go to air shows, they'll run it, they'll fly over places. He can get all the pilots he wants for that airplane. He's building a $35 million hangar somewhere in Texas. And I'm gonna bet the restoration is gonna be in the $25–30 million.
You guys all realize that was the best thing, you know, even though it hurts to say that, it really was the best thing for the aircraft. If you can on display it, that's great, versus keeping it in a hangar under wraps. Will it get this way to the East Coast, Midwest? I hope, but I don't know. It's a ways away, many years away. Yes?
How difficult is it to stage the props on the B17 for your photos?
What do you mean,
To put them into that A formation with one prop straight up?
that's how they stop the airplane, right?
So the engine's built to stop in that
No,
aspect?
yeah, that's how it ends up. So you have to rotate the prop through. We're gonna restart it after a while because the oil drains down in the radial engines, right? So that's why it's like that, so you can grab a prop and rotate through, right? It's at the proper
Put the prop
angle.
straight down so you can see it. If it's at an angle, you'll walk into it and bump your head.
Oh, you mean when it's on display, the props?
Yeah, that's, keep from bumping your head. We do it on all the airplanes.
Okay. Anybody else? Come on. Yes,
Is there a model for the Yankee lady? You know that?
plastic model?
No. The lady on
Oh,
side.
yeah, as far as the nose art, the article I saw, no, it wasn't attributed to anybody. They couldn't find anybody. I know the artist that touched it up recently and kind of spiced it up a little bit because it was kind of homely. In the early days, the face really wasn't there. And then if you notice, there's been slowly it changed, and so there's some details on the face and some colors in the hair, some highlights. So, unless I never got the original artist's name on the Yankee lady. Yes, sir.
A question for you, taking these pictures, on your metering system, would you use the matrix, center, or spot? And when you use the exposure, did you have to compensate a lot?
Yes, I did.
Up the air. Overexposure, I imagine, than what the normal meter
Yep.
would be.
I usually, by rule of thumb, I usually had about 2/3 exposure to everything, compensate. So remember, I'm throttling the shutter speeds. So I'm going between 50, 67, 50, 180, 125th, 160th, not too much over that, 220th for the breakaway shots. But yes, I'm adding some compensation to that. And as far as for focus, I use a center dot. That's the most sensitive focus. But remember, the plane's next to you. There's no relative motion when you're doing the air-to-air. It's right next to you, so you can really sit back and get those slower shutter speeds and get some of that cool propeller action.
That's a full format camera, right? That's a
Yes, oh yeah, full frame, yep. That's a full frame, correct.
ASPC,
No, it's no crop sensor. Anything else? Yes.
Just one
Yes, sir.
question. From the ground, what shutter speed are you using?
Okay, so with my 500, 1/320th of a second, that's the sweet spot for that. I can get the airplane sharp and the prop still has some action. What happened to me doing this air-to-air and I see that nice circle, I can do that from the ground. No, you can't. Go back to the physics of cameras. You get more magnification, you can't hold a slower shutter speed. Cameras have gotten better as far as image stabilization, helping you do that, but the physics are in effect. You can't hold a 500mm lens and shoot 1/25th of a second. This doesn't work. It's the physics. So it's gotten better, made it easier, but it's still not 100% point and shoot and make everything happen. You still have to have some, like I said, some intervention to the settings. At this point, I thank my wife for helping me put this presentation together, my first PowerPoint presentation. It was tough on her. Dave Callahan for helping me in, I guess, some bumpy spots. Something he told me, I would assure everybody. He says, Kurt, don't give them your best stuff. Keep them wanting for more. And I started laughing. I thought that was the funniest thing. No, I want to show them my best stuff so what my best stuff looks like. So that's my best stuff. I didn't hold anything back today, to let you guys know. My fellow docents here that helped me out, I did a couple run-throughs. They helped me critique me. Willie Perez helped square up my thumb drive with the system here because it was throwing off the fonts and pictures weren't right, so I got that squared away. So without their help, I probably wouldn't be able to pull this over, but it's been 7 months of thinking about this almost every day, you guys, so I finally got it out of the way. I hope it turned out good for everybody. One more thing I'd point, I've got 2 friends here that came in. It was a total surprise. I haven't seen my friends in 5 years. They live down in Gloucester, Virginia. They totally surprised me by showing up here today. They walked in, and it was an incredible story, so just totally on the surprise. Totally out of the blue. So nice to see them here. Thanks you guys for coming. And thanks everybody else for coming today. I hope it was worth your while today. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kurt. Thank you all for being here too. I know this one was a very museum-centric presentation, very much for the members here, everybody that had been here for a while. We all appreciate you still being here and coming to see the presentation. Our next historic presentation night will be on Wednesday, July 8th, so not the first Wednesday of July, but the second. And we are excited to welcome MSU professor and author Roger Rosentretter. He will give a special America 250 presentation that will talk about the evolution of the American Continental Army, and it will talk about how it grew from just citizens into the army that was capable of defeating the British and helping establish a whole country. If you want more information about that, we have flyers on the tables here and in the hallway. There's also the new bookmarks that have all of the presentations for the rest of the year out there, so feel free to grab those and decide what you'd like to come to. We'd like you to come to everything, but I understand. There's also, as always, donation boxes near the exit. If you'd like to support the museum, this is what I get for not giving the intro today. I haven't warmed up. Your contributions do help us, and they help us offer programs like this and help give back to our community and be able to make aviation history more accessible. So thank you all for being here. Everyone get home safe, and we hope to see you soon.
Let me know if you want to book. I've got a sign-up sheet over here. I can send them out to you. Work out the payment later. I'm not too worried about the payment, so I like checks and cash. So.
How much?
55.